Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen, followers of Dearborn Blog. Today is April 26, 2020, Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:03 p.m. And this is your host, Wissam Charafeddine. Welcome to another episode of We Are in This Together. We Are in This Together is a non-scripted, live, non-profit broadcast by Dearborn Blog to have conversations that become oral history records of our lives during the COVID-19 pandemic, also known as the coronavirus pandemic. These are personal stories of our lives during these unprecedented social isolation measures, especially in a globalized world. In our studio today, we have Talal, Matar. Talal is a graduate of philosophy from Carleton University, Canada, researcher and translator residing today in Kuwait. During the day, working with the Kuwait Ministry of Electricity and Water, apart from the day job, working on translating modern topics in philosophy to be more accessible to Arabic speakers. Also, he's a founding member of the Vision Book Club, which aims to bring awareness to philosophical topics that are foundational to critical thinking in our modern day society. أخ طلال أهلا وسهلا بك.
أهلا وسهلا سيد. Thank you, Said.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
I have known you for probably 2 decades,
Oh yeah, long time.
although we never had the opportunity really to meet face to face.
Inshallah, one day.
Inshallah. I've been a big fan of your posting. To tell you the truth, you're one of my favorite social media friends.
It's a great honor to know. It's a great honor, Said. Thank you.
I enjoy following you, the depth of your postings. It's always beautiful what you share, really. Not
Thank you.
usually what you see on social media. And I really enjoy it. If more of people do what you do on social media, it becomes such an enriching facet.
Thank you, Said. That's a great honor to know that. It's on social media. I'm actually trying to be myself. Just posting what I read, what I'm interested in, and um, trying, to not put everything, but put something that's useful. That's something I find useful, and hopefully somebody else finds also useful.
Great. So how are you doing?
Surviving.
I know it is. What time is it right now? Is it 10 p.m. in Kuwait?
It's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You had your iftar already?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Iftar and hani and Ramadan Kareem, by the way.
Ramadan Kareem to you. Thank you.
So Talal, we've talked about, I've introduced the audience to you briefly on the biography, but tell us more about yourself and your life today in Kuwait.
In Kuwait, life in Kuwait. One time I had this conversation with a friend of mine here in Kuwait because I spent a long time of my life in Canada. So I lived in Canada and now I'm living in Kuwait. It's like two lives. It's not like one life. It's like two lives. The life in Canada is it's easier. You can be what you want to be. Most like not exactly, but to a certain degree. But in Kuwait, it's kind of harder. It's kind of you are pushed to be something, sometimes maybe something you don't like or you don't want. So it's harder to be yourself here in Kuwait. It's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's the culture. There's lots of mental games with people. It's never direct approach of anything, not in work, not in anything else. It's always mental games. You have to play these mental games to get what you want or to get anything, right? So I've been, but it's been going good here in Kuwait. I've been here for a while now, and it's coping with it, getting used to it.
Yeah, interesting. I've had I know you through our common friend Mishal,
Oh yeah.
and Mishal told me when it's similar perspective as you've said. When you live for a very long time in Canada, especially in Canada, very liberal, uh, you know, free society, even more laid back than the U.S. The U.S. is a kind of a little bit tense and militant, but and then going back to the Middle East, especially to Kuwait, they always reflect that they find it difficult to like switch their brain to start dealing with a different type of culture and different type of way of thinking, I guess.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. It's in Canada, it's laid back. Like, if you want something, you just go direct. You want to buy something, you want to, you go to the ministry, you have some paperwork to do with the government or anything. You just go in and it's easy. The steps are right there. Everything is right there, and nobody is, having, I don't know, play mind games or mental games with you. But here, the culture is very different, and you have to adapt to it, in order to, get your things moving and to be able, to cope with it and get your things done. Right? It's a lot of mental games. You have to cope and you have to know these tricks and ways. And it's not a bad thing though. It's not like I'm saying it. It's hard, but it's not a completely bad thing, or it's like, oh wow, wars, you can't live in here. No, it's to a certain degree, it's tiring sometimes. That's all. That's what all the negative side of it. But it's
Yeah,
pretty good. I mean, people here in Kuwait are usually, nice people, kind people.
that's great. um, I I know that you, as a philosopher, really a person who studied philosophy and continues to study philosophy, I have a lot of topics that I'd like to discuss with you in philosophy, but probably will host you in different programs for that. Today,
Absolutely.
it's gonna be light. We're gonna be talking really about your personal experience during the COVID-19. So we're trying to every episode, to try to bring someone from a different part of the world to. It's an opportunity for me to connect with my friends abroad, and also share that connection with the world, really, and create an audio record, create a record, a media record of our experience in amidst the pandemic, because we don't know what the future is exactly yet. But during this very special times that we haven't experienced on Earth since the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918, it has changed our lives drastically, and it has united us in a way or another. So tell us about how did this affect your life? What is the situation in Kuwait today as far as coronavirus, and how did it affect your personal life?
Um, it's in Kuwait. It's this. I mean, with the Kuwaiti culture, and not just the Kuwaiti culture, with the Arabic culture as well. It's hard. It's hard not to be able to go out to meet people, especially here right now in Ramadan, to get the family together in the iftar time. I mean, breaking of the fast. Um, it's taking its toll on people psychologically, mentally. I mean, physically. Um, the time right now in Kuwait, you're allowed to go outside from 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock, 8 in the morning till 4 uh, afternoon. So after that, you're not allowed to go out. You have to stay home. Um, if you want to go to some like certain places, like let's say a supermarket or a hospital, you have to apply. The hospitals, if it's an emergency, you just go in, right? But other than that, you just have to apply online. The government made online website that you book an appointment in order to go to the supermarket or to go anywhere else um, after 4 o'clock. So it's been like this for almost a month right now, or a month and a half. No, actually 2 months right now. So it's kind of hard. It's taken its toll on people. For me personally, I've been going to work in the morning. So that's not much changed for me, except that after I come back from work, I have to stay home, can't go outside. Used to going outside, meeting people, going to different places, especially in Kuwait where we have these Diwania, so it's
I miss them.
yeah, we miss them here too. So it's really hard, to just cope with staying on home.
So at your work, why did you have to still go to work? Is that
Because we work in the Ministry of Electricity and Water, right? So we have to still provide water and electricity to the people.
yeah.
And there is a lot actually of work we have to do in the ministry. There is we work in the power stations, power plants, so there is a lot of requirements for us to be there for work.
And do you experience social isolation within work? Did they like separate between people?
Yeah. We take our precautions, right? We wear our mask, we wear our gloves, and we have these sanitizers everywhere, just in case. It's sometimes tough, It's because we have to make all these decisions, all changes. We had all these agreements for contracts and all these maintenance for power plants and all that. We have to change and try to find a work around it.
Amazing. Just for the record, so Kuwait, as of April 26, 2020, you have 3,075 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and a total of 20 deaths.
Yeah.
We are in Michigan. Today in Michigan, let me give you an updated number. This is just for the record. We are at a cumulative, where is it? It'll take me a second to pull it out. But anyway, so do you feel that Kuwait has done good? And I mean, given the numbers, it seems it has done good really in controlling the pandemic.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I like the way the government have taken the issue seriously from the beginning, and they've been dealing with it accordingly. Yes, it's hard with the stay at home thing, but overall they've done really a good job. They've trying to control it. I mean, most of the cases they are under quarantine, so it's really good. It's a great job they're doing here right now.
Great. So internationally, we are at 2.92 million cases. We have 829,000 cases recovered, and we are at 204,000 deaths. In the United States, we are at 976,000 cases, 109,000 recovered, and we are at 55,000 deaths. And in Michigan, specifically where I live, we are at 37,000 cases, and the number of deaths are 3,274. That's given a population of about 10 million in Michigan. What's the population in Kuwait today?
It's with everybody in Kuwait, Kuwaitis and non-Kuwaitis, it's almost 3 million.
3 million. Okay, so it's kind of relevant. No, actually, it's a lot less. So Kuwait is doing a lot better than America, relatively speaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
If you look
have a
at
good
the
health system. I think this has uncovered a lot of issues in America, right? The health system that we
absolutely.
have, etc. Like we have an issue here in Detroit, for example, due to the there's a lot of reasons and a lot of research is yet to be done, but some say that it is due to the issues that were prior to the pandemic. So there were health issues and there was lack of healthcare before even the pandemic started. Anyway, I'm happy that you're safe, you and your family. Alhamdulillah.
You're safe, Said.
Thank you.
Hopefully you stay safe, you and your family and loved ones.
So this has been how long you've been in quarantine now? This has been
since the 12th of March. So
it's almost now 6 weeks.
We're going to the second month right now. Yeah,
6 weeks. Me too. I think similarly. I think a little, maybe a week after you. how is it now? Like, what were your feelings when this started? And did your feelings change now, or you still have the same feelings about it?
Oh, to be honest, at the beginning, it's just I didn't think it's this serious. I didn't take it seriously enough. But as things starting to unfold, and then I realized, no, this is something dangerous. I don't want. If, like you hear all these talk, you get all these rumors, all these people talking different things about COVID-19. So you don't get a clear picture, right? So I was, relaxed a little bit, but then it hit me. It's no, there are people dying in big numbers, and it's not a good thing. Maybe, like I was at the beginning saying, okay, I'm young, it doesn't affect young people that much, but then you realize it's not just about you. You're gonna go back home, and there's these kids, and there's these old people. It's not just about you. So after a while, yes, I changed. My views changed about the whole thing. I started taking it seriously. Whenever I go out, I have my gloves with me. I have my sanitizer with me, my mask. It's. I don't want to take any risk here, right? So it's not worth it
Mhm.
to take any risk with such a.
Yeah.
So,
Have restaurants shut down in Kuwait? Malls,
uh,
shopping malls?
the malls, yeah, the shopping malls, yes, everything is shut down. Restaurants are open. Not all the restaurants, some of them, for delivery. Usually, you can't go in and sit and eat. You just either buy it and go home, or you order it to come for you at home before 4 o'clock, right? Um, Other shops are closed. Not just shopping malls. Any other stores are also shut down. Supermarkets are open until like 3 o'clock, and then they close and open again in the quarantine period for appointments. So it's pretty much serious thing going on.
Now,
It's,
with
it's
the price of oil and the coronavirus pandemic, are you feeling an effect on the economy of Kuwait?
to a certain degree. To a certain degree, not that much right now. But if this stays longer, yes, everybody's gonna feel it. Right now, I think it's under control. The effects are not appearing as much. You can't see them as much. But if this stays for longer, yes, we're gonna see a lot of effects of that. Hopefully, it doesn't stay that long.
Mhm. Are your kids studying at home?
Um, the good thing is, yes, my son, who's the only one in school, right? I was teaching him before this whole thing happened, so he was at home. Like I was teaching him at home,
Oh, homeschooled.
homeschooling. Yes,
Oh, okay.
homeschooling. So when this thing happened, it didn't change much for me
Mhm.
because I already had my things for him, right?
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, not
Yeah,
much change here.
yeah.
Uh,
Does he study English and Arabic?
Um, yes, because he was in Canada, right? So his English, he's teaching him also on the Canadian curriculum.
Okay.
But I'm also adding the Arabic and Islamic topics to it.
Yeah.
So teaching him Arabic language, but still not that successful though. English is easier to speak for him.
This is this is the pandemic of Arabic language too. We have
Oh
to
yeah,
talk about it a different time. Um, so yeah, so your friends, you haven't. I mean, Kuwait is a very social place. People gather in diwaniyat. For our audience that don't know what's that, is basically like salons where people gather. People have open salons for guests to come, and people just frequent different salons where
yep,
discussions are made, music is played, food is served, and that's
yep,
almost a nightly habit where people congregate together. Also, mosques are available in every corner, so people pray in
yeah,
mosques all the time. And during the month of Ramadan, this is a month of family gatherings.
got it. Yeah,
So, like America is individualism. There's a lot of isolation. People are used to It's
Exactly.
we are bald eagles, right? We soar alone in the skies. We're
Yeah, true.
cowboys. But I mean, not. I don't want to stereotype, but what's the situation now? How are people suffering? Are some people like just getting sick of corona and just going out, or what?
Well, if you go out, you get punished. Right? There's a punishment for it. You're breaking the law
Mhm.
here. But yeah, people are getting like tired from this because they want these gatherings. Like this is their life, right? This is their habit, to go to this salon or to that salon or Diwania, to discuss, to play, to see friends, to see family members. You know how it is, like in Kuwait, right? The families are bigger. And you got friends and everybody, so it's this is the hardest part, is where you can't see anybody. You have to stay home. Even in the morning, people try to avoid these gatherings, but it's hard. Some people are like still doing it in the morning, right, when they're allowed to go out. But it's hard. It's hard for
Mhm.
the people to cope with this thing because the culture here is very social. It's all about getting together and doing things together. There's this, like, no matter how much I emphasize it, it's you have to live here to see it, to feel it. The individualism of Canada or USA, you, you can't see it here in Kuwait. Like Kuwait is the total opposite. Everybody, like, even for lunchtime, right? It's hard to eat lunch by yourself. You have to eat it with somebody. If you're at work or you're at home, you have to eat it with somebody. It's always like this, right? So this is what the hardest thing.
Now,
We have
people
to
like
go
you
with.
who have a habit of reading and studying, you find more time to do that. But people who don't, how are people spending their time other than TV and
Netflix, um, Netflix, and some games. We have these traditional games we call I don't know if it's called the same thing in English. It's Kerom. It's an Indian game, really, but it's very popular here in Kuwait. People are playing this. People are playing, cards.
what is
Um,
what is Karen?
I'm gonna have to send you a picture of it,
Mhm.
right? Hopefully,
They play it at home.
yes, yes. It's
Mm.
basically a board, a wooden board. It's like billiard, but we play it with the hand,
Oh,
not
yes,
with the
yes, yes,
fingers,
yes.
right?
I remember
Yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah. And
yeah. No,
you put some powder.
exactly,
Yeah,
that's the one. There you go. You know it.
yeah.
Um, Usually this is it, and TV. Especially right now with Ramadan, it's
Uh-huh.
TV.
And how about you personally? How have you been spending your extra time?
Um, Books and books, and uh, I'm also watching some TV shows.
Mhm.
Not much movies, but yeah, TV shows. I've been getting into some of them that I really
Okay,
like.
let's get to that then. What is the last film that you saw, Talal, and what film do you recommend for our audience?
The last film I saw, uh, the last one I saw was Mission Impossible.
Mm.
uh, the, I think it's the sixth part. Yes, I watched it. Me and my son. So we wanted
Mhm.
to be. He wanted to watch a movie, so we watched it together.
Mhm.
Um, what film do I recommend? Um, Interstellar. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend that. So it's a great movie.
Mhm. What did you like about it?
Uh, the artistry, the philosophy behind it, the conflict, the way Nolan shows the conflict between science and emotions, between especially love, is
Mhm.
something interesting to look into. It's very beautiful the way he shows love and how it drives us, motivates us, and how the conflict with science is not really a real conflict. It's just I don't know. It's just an illusion, really, not really a real conflict there.
Mhm. Mhm. How about books? Let's talk about books. I know this is one of your favorite, Talal. What's
Oh
some
yeah.
of the books that you are reading right now? And you see, this is
Yeah,
the purpose of this, is that people are read different things, they're interested in different things. So, and our social
absolutely,
media these days, it's a bubble, right? The
exactly.
algorithms written for your Google search and for Facebook and social media basically shows you what you are interested in, shows you what you already like. It doesn't expose
True.
you to something that you don't really are usually exposed to. So this is an opportunity to expose people to things they're not exposed to. So I know that you have a different list of books that you read.
Oh yeah, my reading habit sometimes is, I have books for night reading, like stories, little novels.
Mm,
These are just for night, before I sleep. I read these sometimes in Arabic, sometimes in English, depending on the mood. But the things that I really like to read and search into is they're not depending on the mood. I have to sit down and read for these books. I was reading one of the books for one of the Sufi sheikh. Um, it's an Arabic book. It's called Ayun al-Haqa'iq.
mhm,
Um, you know how Sufis have these moments of kashf, we call it, or unveiling, or
mhm.
witnessing, like shuhud. So he's writing down his these moments of these unveiling, these moments of where he sees or witnesses these uh,
Visions. Mhm,
visions. Exactly.
mhm, mhm.
It's very deep. It's very interesting. I've posted some of it on Instagram stories, like what he said, some of it, but the rest I didn't post. It's a small book, not that big, but it's really
What year was it?
profound.
What century?
Oh, the author is. Let me see here to make sure. He was at the time of I'm thinking in Mamluks, um, like they're not writing the dates here, but
Mhm,
yeah, I'm thinking he's in the time of the Mamluks, or
mhm,
maybe
mhm,
before that a little bit. The
mhm.
Mamluks is no, here, yeah, the time of the Mamluks. The
Mhm,
Mamluks is period of rulers that ruled Egypt
mhm.
after the I think after the Fatimid period.
Yeah, I'd say between 12th and 13th century.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah. What book do you recommend, Talal?
And I'm also reading another book. This one is in English. I would recommend this one if you're interested in art and philosophy and
Mhm,
maybe a little bit of spirituality, like especially Islamic spirituality. It's
mhm.
called Beauty and Islam by Valerie Gonzalez. If you want, to show you a picture of it right here.
Sure. Yeah,
It's
that's interesting.
yes, it's very beautiful, written beautifully, and it's deep. It's not like there's a lot of philosophy behind it. Like the author is well into the philosophy, like Western
Mhm.
philosophy and Eastern philosophy, like Islamic philosophy, which makes the book very valuable and very interesting. And it's easy to read. It's not that hard.
Mhm. Um, why did you pick that book?
The Beauty in Islam.
Yes.
Uh, I knew my first time where I got into this book was we were having a discussion, me and my friends, and we uh, like a couple of my friends who were calligraphers, like Islamic calligraphers, Arabic letters calligraphers. So we were discussing, and like it's like a small book club, right? Well, that's
Mhm,
not a book club, right? So everybody was presenting something about beauty, art, and Islam. So I got into this book right now, and they presented a section about it, about Sayyidina Sulaiman, and the how beauty is in every part of Islamic religion. It's not just it's like something on the side, and whenever you have time, you look into it. No, it's you have to do things in a beauty, in a beautiful manner. Um, I've been especially with this verse I've been contemplating for a while. Um, the verse says, "Man aslama wajhahu lillah wa huwa muhsinun, وأحسن أو وهو محسن أو أحسن عملا. There is always this word محسن أحسن, which is really have vast meaning. It's not just about doing something correctly, it's also about doing it beautifully. محسن من إحسان أو حسنة أو حسين, which is always refers to beauty and greatness or exquisiteness. So it's beautiful the way it relates to
Yeah,
religion and
yeah.
spirituality too.
We haven't thought we haven't thought of the word Hassan from a beauty perspective. We always translate it as good, like Amal Hassan. We say good deed, but in actuality, in Arabic, Hassan means beautiful. So it's
Exactly.
beautiful deed.
When
Yeah,
we say
so it's
hasna about a
aesthetically
beautiful
related.
lady, yeah, we say hasna, right?
صح.
Something hasna. So it's related to beauty. So
Mhm.
um, when we say a muhsin, muhsinun, من أسلم وجهه, he's given his his soul, his self to God, and did muhsin did these good deeds, not just good deeds, but also beautiful in a beautiful manners and presented it in a beautiful way. So it's good motivation to do things beautifully, not just okay, I'm just gonna do this and
That's a
leave.
big statement for artists, right?
Exactly,
That
absolutely.
it's talking about the aesthetics of presentation. That's an artist field, and that is a very beautiful artistic interpretation of these verses.
Oh yeah, yeah. And in this book you find a lot similar stuff like that. It's an
Yes,
amazing book.
I included the link on Amazon for the book. It's kind of expensive, $43 used, so it's out of print, and it's now sold used for $43. Available new for $137. So,
Oh, wow, didn't know that.
this is
I
a
got it
lesson for
used
people.
actually.
Yeah, I like it. I like it when books are expensive. It's like telling people, you know what? Yeah, it's too expensive for you to. People like take it for granted, right? Oh, I
Exactly,
don't
yeah.
want to read. I don't feel like reading. You know what? You can't afford reading anymore. How about that?
It's not a hobby.
Um,
You're
yeah,
supposed to read, right?
I mean, if really they know the value of reading, uh, they would allocate a budget for it. The power and
Absolutely,
um, enhancement and progress of life that can be gotten from book.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, it's kind of if you look at the habits of successful people, reading is all over it.
True, true.
Yeah,
It's
Bill
true.
Clinton, Obama used to read one book a day. Bill Gates is a big reader. Steve Jobs, all these people
I
there.
mean, personally,
Mhm.
it's one of the things that expanded my knowledge and made me um, like I can say a better person. Made me see things differently, see
Mhm.
things hopefully correctly, in the right way. It's I always tell my friends who are not motivated for reading that it's reading is like you know opening a window into other people's souls and minds, right? So when you hold somebody's book, like you say you hold Plato's book, or you're going into Plato's soul and mind, right? You're going into a discussion with him. You're not just reading these words like this. No, he's interacting with you. So it's imagine that talking to all these people. It's it's something amazing.
Mhm.
It's intellectually satisfying.
My cousin left a message that his name is their names are all with Hassan in it.
Oh,
Of course,
mashallah.
you're all beautiful, guys. I love you. Ghadir Mohsen also indicates an active attempt to beautify your character and improve yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um Talal, what's a show that you recommend or you've watched lately?
One of the shows I would really recommend, even though the third part right now is a little bit disappointing for me, but overall, this is one of the best shows. It's Westworld.
Mhm.
Um, Westworld right now is I find it the artistry, the philosophy in it about free will, about what is it to be human, the most fascinating and interesting to look. The way
Uh,
they show it is very beautiful.
Westward.
Yes, Westworld.
What was it? Is it on Netflix?
No, I don't think it's on Netflix. I think it's HBO, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I see it. All right. Westward.
Yeah, it's Nolan brother, the other
Mhm.
Nolan. It's a very interesting show. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but uh, it's a show that it's trying to grasp what is it to be a human, right? It's
Mhm.
always this is like you know what human is, right? We know what humanity is or what the human is, but it's so elusive when we know it at the same time we don't know it. It's so elusive when you come to define it, put it into words. It's just elusive. You can't catch it. But at the same time, you know what it is. It's very exquisite. The show and the way they try to show that it's very beautiful.
Awesome. I left a link also for our audience in the comments.
Excellent.
So is that what you recommend too, Talal? Do you recommend this show?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
And there's another Asian show, Korean show I would
Mhm.
recommend. Also, it's called Kingdom.
Yeah, I
If
heard that before. That you're the second guest who recommends this show.
it's a nice show. Not the same level as Westworld, but it's nice.
I think your يعني ذوقك مثل ذوقي. I think your taste is like mine, so I'm appreciative of these recommendations because I
Oh, you
find it
haven't seen
really
Westworld
difficult.
yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh shit! The
Yeah,
second part is absolutely stunning,
yeah,
amazing.
I struggle finding shows that I really like. I just finished Orthodox, which is only 4 episodes. That was very good. It was recommended by another guest on this program too.
I
It's
should
about
see
an
it.
Hasidic Jew who runs away from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York, where they're highly concentrated. I like it. I belong to an organization called Muslimish that have people with a lot similar experiences, so I kind of related to it.
Nice.
Um, Talal, music. Do you have any recommendations in music? What new music you
Oh,
have discovered or
I'm not sure my taste in music is still liking Said Wissam though. We have in Kuwait here what we call
Khalid
Adani.
Mullah?
No, not Khalid al-Mullah, but close to. It's similar to the. I mean, this is
Mm,
the music I like. It's we call it Adani,
mm,
especially the really slow kind. They call it Adani.
mhm,
It's because I like the sound of oud and violin or qanun and nai. So
mhm,
these things I like. So usually I listen to this kind of music. You have this what do you call old Kuwaiti singers like Hamad Snan or Fawaz al-Marzouk.
mhm.
I don't know if you're gonna like these or not,
Give
but
me, give me,
usually
give me something specific. We'll listen to it for a minute.
sure. If you go to YouTube and
Uh-huh.
search for Fawaz al-Marzouk, uh, and this is an old poem by Antara. He's gonna
Mm.
sing it. It's called Muhafhafatun.
Allah.
Uh, you find it?
Yeah.
They put it on Kuwait TV, so it's really good.
Yalla.
Yep. You can skip a little bit until the beginning. I don't know how long
Mm.
is it. Yeah, that's the one.
ما في موال أول شيء.
La la, it's just a little قانون. If you can skip
Mm.
it to the beginning, it's yeah, right there. That's good. what we call Adani. So it's Adani, but slow Adani.
This is my favorite music, by the way.
Really,
Hey,
I'm glad you like it.
maybe
And
because a lot of my childhood memories in Emirat.
والسحر من لحظاتها مهففتان والسحر من لحظاتها إذا كلمت ميتا يقوم إلى اللحظ إذا كلمت ميتا يقوم إلى اللحظ.
Awesome. Thanks, Talal.
You're welcome.
For
So you
sure.
get this. I prefer to listen to the proper Arabic language, like Arabiya al-Fusha, in the songs. Usually, that's it.
Mhm.
This is it about music.
Yeah, I love it. I love it
I'm glad.
when Arabic poems are recited in a sha'bi song, in a popular
Exactly.
traditional styles of either Kuwait or Yemen or Adani style.
Absolutely.
It's I enjoy it the most because you're getting the beauty of the Arabic poetry with the
Exactly.
nice rhythms of Arabia.
Exactly. Like, you have this culture in there. It's not. It's not lost yet.
Yeah. أخي طلال, there are questions from the audience, from our participants, previous participants, that we're going to start asking you right now. This question is from Kathy Brown from Argentine. What do you think the ideal outcome of this pandemic at a personal level and at a collective level?
That's a hard question. The ideal outcome of this pandemic, a personal level. Sometimes life takes you. You kind of lose your not lose, but like move away a little bit from yourself or the most valuable things. Like you move away from introspection because of all the work and all the going out, the socialing. So it kind of become away from yourself. But personal level, this is a good opportunity to come back for me and introspect and get closer to myself again. With this time, I mean, you're already socially away from people, right? So this is for me what I'm actually trying, to getting back into myself and realizing myself, or knowing myself better. So this is at the personal level. At the collective level, I'm hoping people realize that it's the people that matter. It's not the materials. It's not what we buy. It's not the stuff that we usually seek that are superficial. Really, it's not the material world that it's more important. It's humans. It's our emotions. It's our health. This is the most important. Hopefully, collectively, this is the message that we can maybe people can understand.
Awesome. Question from Ali Charafeddine. What are some of the things you are accomplishing staying at home during the pandemic? And some say that this will become a question in interviews in the future, in job interviews. Our generation.
Before the COVID-19 came, most I was, a little bit, with work and my friends and all this kind of. I was away from my family a little bit, so it's a good time to come back and spend time with them. So this is something to accomplish, to get these connections stronger, get them in there. And beside finishing books to read, I'm actually getting into a new, let's say, hobby, collecting gemstones. So it's
Really? Interesting.
yeah, that's hopefully it's a vase and goes. It comes and goes very fast.
Every time I buy a ring with a special gemstone, I eventually lose it.
Oh.
So I decided not to wear any. It's the best way, so minimalism.
You should hang them like a necklace.
Less to worry about.
Oh no.
Question from comedian and politician and activist Amr Zahar. What food reminds you of your childhood?
My childhood. That's it. Ice cream.
What kind?
There's this. We call it Lulu. So it's a chocolate. When you finish it, and when you finish the ice cream, there is another chocolate. Like it's 2 layers.
Oh, wow.
So it's if you like chocolate, then this is it. When we were kids.
You know what? I remember that. It's vanilla, and then there's chocolate inside of it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one. See?
It's been a while.
It's childhood.
Yeah, I've always ate it just to get to the chocolate. Although it's cheaper just to buy the chocolate. I guess the journey is pleasurable.
Oh.
Dr. Adnan Jaber asks, how are we going to remind ourselves about the lessons we learned during this pandemic? It's a complicated psychological question from a psychiatrist. So
it is. To remind ourselves about the lessons we learned. You see, I just mentioned before this question, maybe about how we get, to realize what's more important for us and what's really valuable when, and how, even though scientifically humans are advancing and superior and they're in control of this planet, yet something so small as this virus, right, almost stops the whole world, almost stops everything and changes the whole life. Right now we are just talking about what we will do or how we will remind ourselves when this is done, but we're not sure this is going to be done. We're just hoping to be done. Like we're getting all these, talk that it's just going to pass by, right? But are we sure it's going to be passed? Like, are we sure this is not going to be the normal now? It's the way humans, take themselves. They're always, there's this always what I call the Narcissia self, the self that is like self-centered. Like we're conceited. We always see things from our perspective and that we are in control, but really we're not really in control, right? Something so small changes everything for us, changes the whole thing. How are we going to remind ourselves when time comes that we have to choose between that people we value, people we appreciate, and other material things? This is where we try to remind ourselves that we choose the people, not the materials.
There was recent news about a city in Japan that reopened after the coronavirus has completely subdued, right? And it resurfaced again stronger than the first wave. So they're taking this as a case study to consider reopening. That it's not going to be as simple as that. This makes us really unaware really of the end of this. And vaccines,
exactly, uncertain.
The path to vaccine will take a while. And with the current storm of conspiracy theory and distrust, so a lot of people are going to resist vaccination, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I trust the World Health Organization. I trust the CDC, the control of disease. Center for Disease Control. I trust FDA, the Federal Drug and Food Administration. I trust them because these governmental organizations, in a free democratic society like ours here in America, are basically a reflection of our society. So if you trust people around you, in general, you trust people in the schools, you trust people in the restaurants, you trust when you go eat a sandwich from a restaurant, you don't have conspiracy theory against who's preparing the sandwich for you. You trust them in general that they're going to keep. And the same thing in these organizations, these doctors, these professionals, these are people like you. They're brothers and sisters and wives and husbands and sons. And, why is it all of a sudden that we don't trust this organization or that organization? Or I'm glad people trust the Department of Electricity and Water, right?
True,
Right,
true.
Talal?
I mean, sometimes you have, I guess, sometimes you have to trust such organizations. Otherwise, you're kind of living, uh, let's say, a contradicting life, because you're living and you want this democratic and this system and this society, but at the same time, you're not trusting its own, organizations. So sometimes you have to trust it for a system to work. You have to trust these organizations and different, but you also have to be cautious, right? Like not take everything naively, right? So it's a give and take, right? I don't know about the vaccines though,
That's
but
a dilemma. Yeah.
hopefully we find a medicine. Anybody really? I just want medicine for this thing.
Yeah.
It really doesn't
Also,
matter who
there
finds it.
is there is the treatment and then there's the vaccine. The treatment is after the fact that you get the virus. The
Yeah,
vaccine prevents you from getting it. So,
but
yeah.
we're getting vaccines for flu, right? But we're still getting the flu. So
Well, the flu, it covers because of the continuous development of it. It covers a large
it's
number of strains, and it
true.
doesn't cover some newer strains, So,
True.
but definitely, I mean, now it has been a while that people have been using the flu vaccine, and it has been proven to work fine. And it's very highly recommended by doctors and the FDA and American Medical Association, etc. To the extent that not taking the flu is now frowned upon really in the medical community. But people still have their distrust. So not only that we have to find the science to cure it, now we have to also make people trust the science.
Trust the
That's
science.
another obstacle. Hadi Al-Diba, a musician and an activist from New York, asks, "What is the last epiphany or aha moment that you had?"
Oh, that's a tough question. um, I honestly don't know. Um, well, while collecting these gemstones now, right? Buying these gemstones and looking at these auctions for the gemstones, I got this aha moment. Oh, what about if I buy some and then try to sell them in a different place, right? And gain some money. That's probably that's the last.
This is a cha-ching moment.
Exactly.
Hanan Yahya asks, "What are you developing? How are you developing yourself and healing yourself?"
This is something I'm trying to find. How to heal yourself. How to heal myself is I don't know yet, but I'm trying to. Trying. This is what I mean when going back to myself, introspection, looking at myself, my action, my thoughts, my motivations, what makes me move in certain directions, and what makes me do certain things is how I really find, like looking especially at my thoughts, or what we say khawatir, what first comes and last comes. So when I look into these, I try to find exactly what motivates me, what moves me, and if it's something good or something bad, I try to clear it. This is my own way of looking at myself, but I don't know if it's gonna be working for everybody or not. Takes a lot of time from me, a lot of mental work. Actually, it's tough, but this is usually this is something I've developed through my life, between me and myself usually.
Thank you, Talal. Final question by Hadi Shatila, graphic designer and artist from Beirut. What is the worst thing COVID-19 pandemic made you discover about yourself?
Worst thing
Sometimes
is, yeah,
it reveals our good qualities. It might also reveal some bad qualities. I know it's personal, but that's Hadi's question.
yeah, it's okay. I always thought of myself as this patient, or Halim, right? I find myself now always angry. I'm not patient. I'm getting angry faster. Like, this is not me. I'm not usually like that, but this is actually what I've discovered. I don't know if it's because of maybe the stress is taking its toll. I find myself not a patient person, like what I thought about myself. So this is, I would say, the worst thing.
Yeah, well, 6 weeks in isolation can have a toll on a person, So all of us are not our normal selves after 6 weeks of isolation. They say even animals, if you have pets in the house, they're starting to act differently because they're not used to seeing you this much.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. So at the end, Talal, we'd like you to ask a question and answer it, and we'll add it to our list of questions.
Yeah, I would reverse this question. What's the worst thing? I would say, what is the best thing you discovered about yourself? When in this time, we usually always, people have say we don't have time. We don't have time. I mean, right now, like, time is just all we have. We have nothing. We're not busy anymore. So what is the best thing you discovered about yourselves in this period?
Mhm. And what's your answer to that, Talal?
Best thing is, I love my family, the people close to me. Yeah, I think it should spend more time at home than in Duaniyat, right? Probably that's it.
What is something what's a quality in yourself that you've discovered as a good quality during this?
A good quality. Humility. Yeah, I would say humility. Being humble. That's one. I think that's the most right now I can see.
Thank you, Talal. And being humbled, you won't be able to talk more about it. So with that, we have came to the end of the program. Talal, it was a pleasure seeing you and talking to you, really.
It's a pleasure
And
being with you.
it took this pandemic for us to video chat finally, but we hope to stay connected afterwards. Is there any final thoughts or words?
Thank you for this opportunity, Sayed, and hopefully stay safe, you and your family and loved ones. Hopefully we'll see each other on chat about different topics, inshallah, in the future.
Inshallah. I feel like visiting the Gulf area, Kuwait, or
You should.
Sultanate Oman. So hopefully after this,
You should, inshallah.
we'll
But make it in the winter, so you know, and the summer
it's
it's
not
not
that hot.
recommended.
Yeah.
Everybody runs away in the summer, yeah.
Yeah. So the winter in Kuwait is like the summer in the US. So that's what
Exactly.
Talal means. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be a lot nicer.
Yeah. And by the way, I tried to get you a surprise in this show, which having Mish'al with us, but he has a recording, so he couldn't make it.
That would have been beautiful.
He
Who's this guy?
delivers his salams.
Salam. Tell him, so I say salam.
All right. Stay safe, you and your family. Thank you for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you, Sayyid.
Dear listeners and followers, thank you for watching this. It's going to be, again, as usual, podcasted into Dearborn Blog podcast, both on iTunes and on Stitcher for Android users. And it will be also, the video will be posted on dearbornblog.com. Thank you, and stay tuned for next episodes. Thank you, Talal, again, and have a great night and happy Ramadan. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.